As quoted by the US FDA, companies that market bottled water as being safer than tap water are defrauding the American public. Americans are the largest consumer of bottled water in the world, yet the bottled water industry is a sham. In 2006, 31.2 billion liters of bottled water were consumed. It took 17 million barrels, or 67.6 billion ounces of oil to make these bottles. This amounts to 2.2 ounces of oil to bottle a liter of water. This bottling process produces 2.5 million tons of CO2, carbon dioxide. Consider a bottle of water from the store, say 1 liter in volume, and it costs $1.50. There are 3.9 liters in a gallon, thus a gallon of this water costs $5.85. That's close to twice the amount you pay for gasoline. What is the fate of these bottles? In the US, 86% are litter or garbage. That's 60 million plastic bottles a day going to US landfills, and this plastic can take up to 1,000 years to biodegrade. In addition, about 40% of our bottles were exported to foreign countries, many of them overseas, thus adding resource consumption to the overall process. How does this augment resource consumption? Trucks, planes, and ships all require energy like gasoline to move. Of course, not to mention the amount of energy that required to make these vehicles. By analogy, many people think that solar panels are a zero carbon emitting source. While the actual panel does not release CO2, as it does not combust anything, the material and energy requirement to make these sophisticated solar panels makes them considerably less environmentally friendly than most people think. The point is that peripheral implications need to be considered when assessing something's worth and value.
Solar energy is not environmentally friendly then?
It's not as friendly as you'd think.
But it's still friendlier than using
Oh, it's absolutely friendly. Wow, nuclear is more friendly than that. Besides the great requirements manufacturing these plastic bottles have, and apparent lack of recycling of them, what health risks does water pose to humans? Let's first identify the culprits and then compare bottled water quality to tap water quality in terms of human health risks. Contamination deals mostly with two broad categories, microbial and chemical. The most common microbial contaminants are fecal coliforms, such as E. coli. They mainly come from the sewer systems, which means it comes from us, and also livestock and farming. Almost all of these microbes are killed by chlorine, which is introduced to the water supply in the benign form sodium hypochlorite. Two disease-causing microbes, Cryptosporidium and Giardia, which give gastrointestinal problems, cannot be killed by chlorine, but are successfully removed by filtration at the water treatment facility. The quality of removal of these are determined by testing the water's turbidity, that's cloudiness. Philadelphia water is less than 80% of the maximum allowable turbidity by both state and federal regulations, thus making it relatively clean. And I'll address how bottled water deals with these microbes later on. Chemical contamination comes from many sources as well. The mining industry, oil and gas production, and naturally occurring salts and metals. Perhaps the biggest chemical contaminant to worry about, especially for older cities on the East Coast like Philadelphia, is lead. Both tap and bottled water must deal with these chemical contaminants. Lead is found in older piping, as well as in the solder that could be used to bond the piping together. Water, being a powerful solvent, is corrosive to lead-containing things and can dissolve it from the infrastructure, thereby introducing it to the water supply on its way to your home. Fortunately, there are ways to resolve this. To minimize the lead that is leached from this infrastructure, pH is carefully controlled, and a corrosion inhibitor